Today we're taking a look at these college basketball matches, which are happening on Sunday, February 26, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out our Patreon if you want access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comment section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comment section below. Illinois vs Ohio State. Illinois is only favored by 1 point in this game, and I have no idea why. Ohio State has lost their last 9 straight games, and they just lost their best post player to a season-ending shoulder injury. Illinois is loaded with bigs who can score. Mayer is 6'9" and can score all over the floor, Coleman Hawkins is 6'10" and can score in the post or transition, and Dane Dinja is a 6'9" 270 center who can dominate inside. Who is going to stop these guys for Ohio State now that Zed Key is out? This is not Ohio State's last home game, so there will be no extra excitement in the room for a senior night. The top scorer in the game also wears an Illinois jersey, and Terrence Shannon Jr. can heat up at any minute and win a shootout against NCAA. Illinois should be favored more here. Take Illinois to win and cover on the road. This matchup will go over the slated total. For as bad as Ohio State has been, their offense is still ranked 27th in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency. They will be able to score and have two wings of great size that can score from all over the floor in NCAA ensuing. On the other side of the ball, OSU's loss of Zed Key for the season will play a big role here. Illinois has a strong front line, with multiple interior players that can contribute. The Illini will attack the basket easily without the Buckeyes' top interior defender in the game. Illinois plays fast, their tempo is ranked 65th out of 363 teams, as they look to score quickly whenever possible. Both of these offenses will find success in this matchup. Take the over. Maryland Terrapins vs Northwestern Wildcats. The Maryland Terrapins are 12-4 against the spread on their home court this season. Northwestern is 7-2 against the spread on the road this season and have covered the spread in 8 of their last 10 games. Maryland gets the edge at home, but the value is the underdog. Take the free points. Our team pick is Northwestern Wildcats plus 6.5 points. The Maryland Terrapins beat Minnesota 88-70 on Wednesday in their last game. Julian Reese led the way in the win with 21 points and 12 rebounds, while Hackenhart contributed 20 points. Maryland has 4 players who are averaging double-digit points scored per game. Jahmir Young leads Maryland on the season with an average of 16.1 points per game. The Northwestern Wildcats are second in the Big Ten with a 28 record. Northwestern has won 7 of their last 10 games as well. The Wildcats head into Maryland with a 6-3 road record. Northwestern is averaging 8.1 steals per game. Chase Audich leads the Wildcats with 2.5 steals per game. The Northwestern Wildcats lost to Illinois 66-62 on Thursday in their last game. Boo Buie led Northwestern in the loss with 35 points. Buie leads the Wildcats on the season with 17.6 points per game. Northwestern has just 2 players who are averaging double-digit points per game. St. Joseph's vs St. Bonaventure. Both teams are on a losing streak, so someone has to win this one. We are going to go with St. Bonaventure for 2 reasons. They have an interior scoring presence that the Hawks guard lineup will find difficult to stop, and it is their final home game of the season and their senior night. Chad Venning will be able to score on the front line of the Hawks and will be a presence on both ends, as St. Joe's does not have anyone to match up with him. The Bonnies also get the added boost of senior night and only have to cover 4 points in this one. Emotions will be running high, and the Bonnies will get an extra boost from the crowd. Daryl Banks too is talented enough to win a shootout with these St. Joe's guards, and with the help of Venning inside, will lead the team to victory. Take St. Bonaventure to win big in their final home game. Our team pick is St. Bonaventure minus 4 points. St. Joe's has gone over the total in their past 2 games, and the Bonnies have gone over in 3 of their last 5. This game features 3 players who have made over 73s this season, Banks 3 for the Bonnies, and Reynolds 2 and Brown for the Hawks. Any one of them could get hot and make 4 or more threes in a game. Chad Venning also figures to have some easy scoring opportunities inside for St. Bonaventure. St. Joe's typically plays fast, they rank 80th in tempo out of 363 teams. Senior night will add some extra juice to the building, as both teams will look to get up and down the floor quickly. Take the over 137.5 points. Georgetown Hoyas vs Providence Friars. Georgetown is having a very poor season, but the Hoyas have done well covering the number. Georgetown has covered the number in 8 of its last 10, and the Hoyas covered the nut in a 74-62 loss to Providence in the first meeting, as Georgetown lost by 12 points, but was a 13-point road dog. Providence is coming off a disappointing loss to UConn, which put a damper on the Friars' chances of catching Marquette at the top of the Big East standings. Our team pick is Georgetown Hoyas plus 8.5 points. Bryce Hopkins is leading Providence in scoring and rebounding with averages of 16.8 points and 8.9 rebounds per game, while Jared Bynum is the leader in assists with an average of 4.4 assists per game. Providence has 4 players averaging double figures in scoring and as a team is scoring an average of 78.5 points per game while shooting 46.3% overall and 35.1% from three-point territory. Georgetown looks to bounce back from a loss with a victory at home on Sunday when hosting Providence. The Hoyas are 7-22 overall and 2-16 in Big East play following a 79-70 loss to St. John's. Prior to the loss to the Red Storm, Georgetown had defeated Butler 68-62, which snapped a 6-game losing streak for the Hoyas. Georgetown is last in the conference standings. Primo Spears is leading Georgetown in scoring and assists with averages of 15.4 points and 5.3 assists per game, while Qudus Wahab is the leading rebounder with an average of 7.3 rebounds per game. Brandon Murray is the second leading scorer with an average of 14.6 points per game and one of 3 players for Georgetown, averaging double figures in scoring. Georgetown scores an average of 70.7 points per game. Siena College vs Iona. Iona carried a 36-33 lead into halftime when these two sides faced off at the end of January. However, the shooting dropped off in the second half, and Siena bounced back to secure a 70-53 win on their home court. I don't think it'll be a similar story this time around, and I'm going to lock in Iona to cover the line. This one comes down to how dominant Iona's defense is. They're 65th in terms of efficiency, limiting opponents to just 98.8 points per 100 possessions. In terms of defensive shooting, they're holding opposing teams to a 40.6% field goal percentage, 21st. Considering Siena is a below-average offensive team, I think the Gales can stifle them and ultimately cover the spread. Let's ride with Iona to cover. Building off of what I said above, I think we're in for more of a defensive game this time around. I'm taking the under in Sunday's mock affair between Siena and Iona. Siena's strength this season has been the defense, a unit that's allowing just 103.6 points per 100 possessions, 136th. If they want a chance to win this one, they're going to need the defense to step up and make some stops. Furthermore, neither of these teams is particularly in a rush to move the ball up the court. Iona's 113th in tempo, 69.2 possessions per 40 minutes, while Siena is 207th, 67.2. From a trend standpoint, the under is 5-0 in the last 5 meetings between these programs, per Oddsark. It's also 6-1 in Iona's last 7 games overall. Let's root for defense in this one. Give me the under 139.5 points. St. Peter's vs Niagara. I have confidence Niagara can take this game and the spread with a win at home. Niagara boasts a 9-3 record at home, while St. Peter's has a 3-11 record on the road. Niagara is simply better on the offensive end, especially in their ball handling. In a slow-paced game where possessions are limited, the team that takes care of the ball best has a much better chance to win. In this case, Niagara has proven they can handle the ball better than St. Peter's. They are also better at their shots from beyond the arc, over 6% better to be specific. The defenses are quite similar statistically, so I'm giving the edge to Niagara's attack. Take Niagara minus 6 points. Niagara beat St. Peter's in their previous matchup by a score of 59-57, totaling 116 points. While the total is lower than the predicted total of this game, I have faith that this will be more of an offensive showing than the previous contest. Niagara has scored at least 66 points in 5 of their last 8 games, and St. Peter's has scored 60+ points in 3 of their last 6 games. Both teams have improved their free throw percentage throughout the year, and I'm expecting Noah Thomason to contribute in a big way after not being in their last contest. Take the over 123.5 points. Fairfield vs Canisius. These defenses in the last 4 games show a bit of a difference, as Fairfield is allowing 70.5 points per game, while Canisius is giving up 67.8 points per game in that stretch. When looking at KenPom's adjusted offensive rating, there is a huge difference as the Stags are 292nd in the country with a 99.7 rating, while the Golden Griffins are 224th in college basketball with a 103.3 rating thus far. All in all, go with the Canisius Golden Griffins to cover the spread and win by at least 3 points at home. Our team pick is Canisius Golden Griffins minus 2.5 points. Diving into KenPom's adjusted defensive rating, there is a huge issue for the programs as the Stags are 192nd in the nation with a 106.6 rating, while the Golden Griffins are 286th in the sport with a 110.8 defensive rating right now. Both offenses have been doing extremely well scoring the ball in their last 4 games, as Fairfield is averaging 71.5 points per game, while Canisius is averaging 76.5 points per game in that same stretch. The over has hit in the last 4 Stags games, as well as in 7 of the previous 9 Golden Griffins games, so go with the over to hit here as well. Cincinnati vs Memphis. I'm taking the Tigers to cover at home because of their strong interior play and ability to consistently score in the paint. If Victor Lakin isn't fully healthy for Cincinnati, it could be a long day for the Bearcats on Sunday. Lakin returned to action for Cincinnati on Wednesday, but he fouled out after just 19 minutes on the court and only had 3 rebounds. Lakin had 22 points and 10 rebounds against Memphis earlier this season, and the Bearcats still lost by 7. It's not very likely we see anything near that kind of production from Lakin on Sunday. Cincinnati has good guards, but Kendrick Davis is the best in the conference. The Bearcats have covered the spread just twice in their last 5 games, while Memphis is 3-1-1 at TS during that span. Give me Memphis minus 5.5 points. I'm taking the over on Sunday. Memphis has an over-under split of 8/5 in favor of the over in its 13 games at FedEx from this season. The Tigers have topped 85 points in 4 of their last 5 home games, mostly thanks to their up-tempo style of play. For the Bearcats, the over has hit in 5 straight games overall, as well as in their last 5 road games. Cincinnati's pace isn't quite as fast as the Tigers, but the Bearcats are still ranked number 131 in adjusted tempo, according to KenPom. They can fill it up from downtown, and I expect them to be much better than the 6 of 24, 25% they shot from behind the arc in the first meeting with Memphis. I'm siding with the over 152.5 points. Southern Illinois vs Illinois Chicago. UIC is 4-15 and in 11th place in the MVC, but the Flames are surprisingly 16-11-2 against the spread this season. They have won 2 in a row and have failed to cover in just 3 of their last 10 games. UIC doesn't have a single win against a quad 1, 2, or 3 team this season, so the Salukis are a heavy favorite heading into Sunday, but UIC has managed to cover in 4 of the last 5 games that they've been double-digit underdogs. Southern Illinois has a good overall record, but the Salukis have been bad at covering spreads all season. They are 3-6 at TS over their last 9 games, and they already allowed the Flames to comfortably cover against them once this season. The Salukis are prone to turning the ball over, and UIC exposed that earlier this month in their first head-to-head. I'm taking UIC to cover at home. Both of these teams have an over-under split this season that favors the over. Also, the over has hit in 4 of the last 6 games for both teams. The pace of play was pretty fast when they faced off on February 8, as they combined for 30 fast break points and exceeded the over by 5.5 points, despite UIC shooting just 34%. The Flames are coming off point totals of 82 and 74 last week in their 2 wins, so it seems they're in a better offensive rhythm than they were when they were in the midst of losing 13 out of 14 games. UIC's adjusted tempo is number 102 in the nation, according to KenPom, which should help speed up a very slow-paced Southern Illinois team. The Salukis shouldn't have much of a problem scoring against UIC's low-ranked defense, so if the Flames can continue putting up decent numbers offensively, this game is going over. I'm siding with the over 130.5 points. Indiana State Sycamores vs Missouri State Bears. Indiana State will look to avenge an earlier season loss to Missouri State 64-62 with a victory at home in the final game of the regular season. Indiana State will want to have as high a seed as possible in the season-ending conference tournament. The Sycamores are 7-2 straight up and 9-0 against the spread over the last 9, while Missouri State has failed to cover the number in 9 of its last 10. Our team pick is Indiana State Sycamores minus 7.5 points. Donovan Clay is leading Missouri State in scoring and assists with averages of 11.8 points and 3.6 assists per game, while the leading rebounder is Jonathan Mogbo with an average of 7.2 rebounds per game. Missouri State has 2 players averaging double figures in scoring and as a team is scoring an average of 65.8 points per game. Indiana State looks to bounce back from a loss with a victory at home on Sunday when hosting Missouri State. Indiana State is 20-10 overall and 13-6 in MVC play following its 89-88 loss to Belmont. The loss snapped a 7-game winning streak for the Sycamores and knocked them out of contention for first place in the MVC, as Indiana State is 2 games behind first place with just 1 game remaining. Kervoisier McCauley is leading Indiana State in scoring and rebounding with averages of 16.7 points and 5.5 rebounds per game, while Cameron Henry is the leader in assists with an average of 3.8 assists per game. Indiana State has 4 players averaging double figures in scoring and as a team is scoring an average of 79.2 points per game while shooting 48.1% overall and 34.7% from 3-point territory. Mount St. Mary's Rider. Rider has had a strong season and the Broncs should be focused after losing 2 straight games coming into this matchup. Rider is also 8-3 at home and the Broncs are holding opponents to just 41.9% from the field this year. The Rider defense should be able to limit a Mount St. Mary's team that is shooting just 42.6% from the field. Our team pick is Rider. Rider has defended very well all year and the Broncs have also played their best at home. Rider is holding opponents to just 41.9% from the field this season and Mount St. Mary's is shooting just 42.6% this year. Rider is also 293rd in adjusted tempo and the home team usually dictates pace. The Broncs should be able to build a lead and then slow this game down. Our total pick is under. Manhattan vs Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac has been impressive this season. The Bobcats come into this game 19-9 for the year, 10-7 in the conference, and 9-5 at home. Manhattan has played better in the conference, but the Jaspers are still just 10-16 for the year and 4-7 on the road. Quinnipiac has been a top defensive team all year. The Bobcats should be able to limit a Jasper offense that has struggled all season and been worse on the road. Take Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac has been a top defensive team all season and the Bobcats have played their best at home, even though Quinnipiac is 52nd out of 363 teams in adjusted tempo. The Bobcats should be able to build an early lead in this game and control the matchup with their defense. This should be a lower scoring game. Take the under.